Hello guys, my name is Alejandro Corredor and I was part of the BOLO 8.0 team for Summer 2017 Senior Project, and this is a video for installation and maintenance. So I will be showing you the basics of how to set up the environment for the first time so you can run the app on your local machine. So I have a presentation here and I will be guiding you through the process. So if you go here and see the requirements overview, there's basically two main things that you will need to install and run the app. You will need Node.js, which is a JavaScript runtime environment, and then you will also need MongoDB, which is a database that the app uses. Additionally, you will need to use GitHub. You'll need a GitHub account, and I will explain why later. I will also show you how to initialize the project once all the installations are done, and then I'll show you two optional things that you may use in order to make your life easier when developing. These two things are RoboMongo, which is now called Robo3T. They recently changed the name, and Heroku. I will explain at the end what those two things are in more detail. So let's just get started, okay? So first, Node.js. Now, to install Node.js, there's different options depending on the system that you're running. If you're on Windows, you're going to want to go to the Node.js website. Click on this link that I attach here. This is a Node.js main website. Then you will go to Downloads. And then they give you all the three main systems. You choose the Windows installer, and I click there, and I basically download it. I'm demoing on a Mac, so right now I'm not going to be able to follow through the Windows installation, but basically this is an installer. You will just run it on a Windows machine, and you will have Node.js running on your machine, which is pretty straightforward. If you're on a Mac, you're going to want to use Homebrew. Homebrew is just a package manager for Mac that lets you install packages. And basically it's really easy. You just have to basically run a command and it's going to install it for you immediately. So how do you do that? Well, I'm going to go to the Homebrew website. I'm just going to Google Homebrew. Here it is, the missing package manager for Mac OS. And you have this command. Basically, you just copy this command, open up a terminal, paste it, and it will install it for you. I'm not going to do this right now because I already have a Homebrew install, but basically you do that, it's going to go through a series of steps, it's going to install on your system, and then you're going to have the brew command. So basically, it's just a terminal command, and you have a bunch of things that you can do. And to install Node.js with brew, you basically do brew install node. You do that. I already have it installed, so it shouldn't take long. It's going to update Homebrew. It's going to go through a series of steps. Let me just make this bigger so you can see everything. It says Node is already installed. If you did not have it installed, it would go through a series of steps and you would have it in your system, and then you would have Node installed and ready to go. So that's for Mac and Windows. It's pretty straight up. Now the hard part would be to install it on an Ubuntu Linux system. Well, not the hard part, but it's more complicated than installing it in Mac or Windows. So the reason I'm including Ubuntu Linux in this tutorial is because the actual Pinecrest Police Department is running the app on an Ubuntu 16.04 system. So when we went to their station and installed the app, we actually had to install it in Ubuntu Linux. So in order to do this, we followed a guide, a really good guide from the DigitalOcean team. They have a cloud platform basically, and they have a really detailed guide on how to install Node.js on Ubuntu 16.0. Now note that today is July 25, 2017, and as of this date, the long-term support version for Ubuntu is 16.04. So that's why we're using this version of Ubuntu. So you will be able to follow this guide step by step if you're on Ubuntu 16.04, and you will have Node.js running in a breeze. It's really detailed. You just have to follow these steps one by one, and you will have it running. So just go back here, and that does it for Node.js. So after this, we should have Node.js installed in any of the three systems that are listed here. Now, we go to MongoDB. MongoDB is the database that the app uses. So again, for Windows and Mac, the process is going to be easier than on Ubuntu. If you're in Windows, you're going to want to download and install MongoDB. You're going to do this by following the instructions from the MongoDB website. So here's a link. I'll click on that link. It's going to take me to the download website. And I'm going to have all of the systems again. I'm going to go to Windows. I'm going to download the version corresponding to my system. So if you have 32-bit, 64-bit, it depends. So you're going to download that. And then here you have installation instructions. You're going to click there. You're going to read this detailed MongoDB guide on how to install it. I don't want to go through the video and show you how to do this because the actual instructions in this website is pretty much, the best. I'm not going to be able to give you a better explanation than by following these detailed instructions on how to install it in Windows. So you're going to want to go to that link, and after you do that, you're going to have MongoDB installed. Now, again, for Mac, basically you can use Homebrew for anything or everything, maybe, and you're gonna have a really easy time installing any package. So you can use Homebrew again. You'll go to MongoDB, and if you choose OS X, you're gonna see a link here, instructions for installing with Homebrew. You also have the option to download the zip file, but it is my recommendation that if you're on Mac, you install it using Homebrew, as it is much easier. So basically you're going to want to follow these steps right here so you can install all the dependencies, and afterwards, here it is, title Install MongoDB Community Edition with Homebrew. So basically it's going to give you the Homebrew commands that you need to run in order to install it. Basically it's pretty easy. It's just updating brew and then running brew install MongoDB. Really like the steps that we followed with Node.js. So after that, we should be done with Windows and Mac, and right now have only Ubuntu Linux left. Now, same thing. The DigitalOcean team, they were nice enough to have a really detailed guide on how to install MongoDB on Ubuntu 16.04. So if you go ahead and click on this link, or go to that link if you're watching the video, you'll have a really detailed guide on how to install MongoDB on Ubuntu 16.04. Again, this was the guide that we followed when we went to the Pinecrest Police Department to actually install the app on their servers, and it worked just perfectly. So you want to go to this quick guide if you're using Ubuntu, or if you're going to the police department station, and you'll be good to go. Alright, so we are done installing the main two parts that we need for the application BOLO 8.0 to run. Now the next step is actually getting the app. So how do you get the app in the semester that you're in? Well, you're going to need a GitHub account. So you probably got instructions from the professor to create an account with your FIU email. Once you have this, you're going to need to log in, look for the BOLO project, which they will also give you the location of this, or maybe the link, and then basically you're going to need to clone the project to a local machine. So I'm going to show you these 3 steps specifically and with detail so you understand what you have to do exactly. So I'm going to go here to GitHub. Right now I'm logged in with my personal account, so I'm going to sign out, and actually I'm going to sign in with my FIU account. So I'm going to do that. This is the account that I created. Then I will go to the project. So right now I have it starred. That means, I have it like in my favorites. At first you won't have it here. You will need to follow the link or the instructions that the professor sent you to actually find the project. So once you find it, you will go there, and basically you have this link right here. So you're gonna have clone or download. So what you're gonna need to do is click on that button and then copy this link that they give you here. After you copy that link, if you're on a Mac, you will open the terminal, or if in a Unix environment, you will open the terminal. If you're in Windows, you will open PowerShell. Since I'm demoing here on a Mac, I'm going to open the terminal, let me clear this up, and I'm basically going to make a new directory. Actually, you don't have to make a new directory, you just need to run the git command to clone it. Now, if you don't have git installed, you're going to have to follow different instructions. If you're on Windows, or if you're on Mac. So Mac usually comes already installed with Git. If you're on Windows, you're going to need to go to Git, on Google for Git. Basically, this is the main website. And then you're going to go to Downloads. And here you go. You're going to go to Windows. And it's going to download an installer for me. Again, I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to be able to install this. But you're going to want to do that, follow the installation steps, and have Git installed on your computer in order to be able to run Git commands from the PowerShell on Windows. Once you do this, you'll be able to follow along the video. If you're on Mac again, you can either use this link to for Mac OS X, which is going to download a tar file, or you can also install it with Homebrew. Now again, 99% of the times if you have a Mac, you will already have Git running, so you will not need to install it. So let me just cancel this download here because this was for Windows. So once you have Git installed, you will continue to the terminal and you will do git clone and copy the link. And paste the link that we copied from GitHub. I'm going to do this. Right now I'm on my desktop, so this is going to create a new folder with the whole project in my desktop. I'm going to press enter. It's going to start cloning. And if I do an ls, I'm going to see that bolo-8.0 folder. That folder was just created since I just cloned it. So that's basically it. I downloaded the project to my local machine. So we basically already have everything downloaded and installed that we need in order to run the application for the first time. So the next step is to actually initialize the project. So in order to do this, the first thing that we need to do is to navigate to the project directory. Then we're going to install the dependencies. So the project dependencies are actually Node.js dependencies that we install with the npm Node package manager that actually comes with Node. So it was installed along with Node back when we installed it in the first slide. So these dependencies are basically packages that other people have made and that you can use in your app to make your life easier. So before running the app, we actually need to install all these dependencies. So we do that with a command. Then we'll actually run the MongoDB service on our local machine. So basically we'll start the database in our machine. Then we will initialize it. That means we'll fill it up with the information that the application needs for the first time run. Then we'll set up a .env file, which has all the environment variables that the application needs. And then the last step is actually just starting the application. After that, you'll be able to use the application locally and actually start developing with it. So let's get to it. So we'll go to the terminal. And again, if you're on Windows, you would use the PowerShell. And I'm going to navigate, I'm already on my desktop, and I'm going to navigate to the folder that we cloned from GitHub, Bolo 8.0. And in order to install the dependencies, let me make this bigger so you can see everything. We're going to run the command npm install. So this command will install all the packages that the app needs to run. So that's the first thing that we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to take a little while. It's going to start installing the dependencies. So it's going to take a little while. In this actual run, it's going to take less time because when I was actually practicing to make the video, I had already installed the dependencies. So this time it just took 50.36 seconds because I already had some of the dependencies installed, or actually all of them. When you run that command for the first time, it could take up a little more time. So just be patient with that. So after we already have those dependencies installed, we're going to need to run the MongoDB service on our local machine. So how do we do this? If you're on Mac, I'm going to open up a new tab. If you're on Windows, you're going to need to open a new PowerShell window. I'm going to run MongoDB. So this command came with the installation of MongoDB. And basically what it does is it starts the service on your machine so you can actually connect to the database. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. and it's going to start, and it's already started. See, it says waiting for connections on port 27017. So we already started the service, and the next step is to initialize the database. So initializing the database means filling up the MongoDB database with the information that the app needs to run for the first time. This information includes some of the things like the root user, some agencies, user guides, etc. So in order to initialize the app, we're going to navigate to the source directory. Actually, I'm sorry, to the scripts directory. And in the scripts directory, you're going to see that we have 3 files. The important one that we have to focus on here is the initdb.js. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and do node initdb.js. So after running that command, the database will be initialized. Now note here that the data subscriber file was created, system settings file was created, archive.bolo file was created, etc., etc. So it created a lot of these things. But here it says agency could not be saved, write error. Now I'm getting this error because previously I had already installed and initialized the database on my computer. So when it tries to actually create this agency model, it's going to see that it's already found in the computer. You're not going to run into this problem if you're installing for the first time. And you could actually basically clear the database. You see this delete.db file here? If I do node delete db.js, it's going to basically wipe the database from my computer. And now I'm going to go ahead and do node init-db.js, and I'm going to actually initialize it. And now it's not going to give me that error, the agency error, because I had already wiped the database. So it says the database has been initialized. It's going to take a little while, and there you go. We have initialized the database. So we should be good to go. And if we go back, right now we have to set up the .m file. So that .m file you're going to be able to get from the GitHub. If you go to the GitHub, or actually if you can see it too in your project directory, you'll see that there's a file called .emp.example. .emp.example. And it says here that we need to make a copy of this file in our project directory. And it needs to include a session secret, a password salt, the SendGrid API key, and actually it also needs one more variable, which is the actual URL of the application. And this URL variable is used for production, for when installing the app something in somewhere other than your local machine. If you're installing it on a server, or if you're installing it on a Heroku maybe, as we'll see in a little bit, you would set that variable to be your actual host. So the app will get that variable and actually take care of the path so people can access your application. So let's go ahead and do that now. If I go here, I'm going to go back to my main directory, to my root directory. I'm going to go ahead and do touch.m. Touch.m basically creates a file, the touch command in Unix. If you're in Windows, you can actually just go to your directory, or actually use the Windows PowerShell command for creating a file, which I'm not sure what it is. If not, you can just create a .m file manually. So once I do that, you can open it up in your text editor, your favorite text editor. I'm going to go ahead and use Atom. I'm going to go do atom.m. This is basically going to open up Atom for me with the .m file. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the contents that I need to this file. So I have it in another directory, which is my actual project that we've worked during this semester. So I'm just going to go to my desktop, actually to the folder where I have this project. And it's just taking a little bit to load because it's in Dropbox. Actually, you know what? In order to get it faster, I'm going to do it from the command line. I'm going to go to Home, Dropbox, and just to the directory where I have the project that we've been working on. And there you go. And if I do cat.m just to print the contents, there you go. I have the contents of the .m file that I need. And I'll explain right now what these contents are in more detail. So basically, you're gonna need to add this content that you're seeing here to the .m file before actually running it. So I have a hash key for the connect session module. This is basically a secret random session key that is needed for the password hash. Then you also need the salt for hashing the user passwords, which is also a random salt. Then you need the SendGrid API key. This SendGrid API key was provided to us by the Pinecrest Police Department. They are paying for the SendGrid service, and in order to use a service, you need to have this key. So you need to add it exactly as you see it here. Then you'll also need the Mongo URI for production database in MLab. So this is also optional. Since we're running the application and the database in our local machine, we don't really need to have this Mongo underscore URI. We just need the app URL. So in the optional section, I will explain why you could also use Mongo URI. That would be with Heroku. That's for later. So this is just completely optional. And then you will need to have the app URL. So here in the comments, it says it clearly. App URL that needs to be set for production, uncommon for production environment. So if you're going to install your app in either Heroku or if you're installing the app in the actual Pinecrest Police Department, here you will need to add the actual host. So whatever the host is for the Pinecrest Police Department server, you would put that here. Right now, since we're just running it locally, I'm not going to put anything, and the system, the app, will actually automatically detect that there's no app URL, and it's going to default to localhost 3000, which is fine for when you're running it locally. So we're just going to save this file, and then we should actually be good to go to run the application for the first time. So let me just go back to the terminal, and in order to actually run the application, we're going to go to the source directory, and if I do an ls and I list all the files, we're going to see that there's an app.js file. In order to run the app, we just have to run the node app.js command, and there you go. It's going to run the app, and it's going to say that it's listening on port 3000. After that, you can go to your browser, go to localhost 3000, and there you go. You have the app running on your machine. Now you can log in for the first time by using the first user that gets created, which is an admin user, actually a root user, and you can go ahead and log in by doing root, and the password is 1234, and there you go. You have access to the whole app, and you can start from here on to actually use it, test it, and keep developing for it. So that was it for the actual requirements in order to run the BOLO 8.0 application for the first time. From here on, it's actually all optional steps that you may choose or may not choose to follow. It is our team's recommendation that you actually do follow them and use them while you're developing and testing the app, since we found that these services actually made our life a lot easier when developing the BOLO 8.0 app. And also obviously maintaining it, since we picked up from 7.0. So what is the first optional step? Well, the first one is RoboMongo, which is actually now called Robo3T. They just recently changed the company's name for the software. So what is RoboMongo? Basically, RoboMongo is just a UI, a user interface, a GUI, that you can actually download, and it's a client that you use. You connect to your local machine database, and then you can actually just go in and inspect the database through the GUI, see all the documents that are created in Mongo, the documents that exist. You can actually edit them, you can drop tables, etc. So you don't have to do it through the command line if you're not really well versed. So in order to do this, you need to install raw Mongo first. So using that link, it'll take you to a raw Mongo website. You'll basically just download Robo3T and just keep downloading it. I'm not going to download it because I already have it, but it's pretty straightforward. Depending on your system, it's going to take you to the correct link. So you're going to download that, you're going to install it, and then basically you can just go ahead and open it. So let me show you here how it looks. If you go to the Robo3T, it'll open up, and then it's going to give you, if you are running the MongoDB service, that's important. You need to have the MongoDB service running, obviously, the one that we executed from the command line, and then you're going to be able to connect to it. So when you connect to it, you'll get all of your databases that you have on your system right now, and you can see here the BOLO database. So when we go there, we can see the collections, and we have agencies, we have BOLOs, we have categories, we have user guides, and we have users. And we can go ahead and actually inspect them. If I go here and inspect the actual agencies, I can see that there's one agency created, which is the first one that gets initiated, which is the null agency. And that's used for initialization purposes. If I go here to users, I can see that there's just one user, which is going to be the root user. See? And you can see the hash password, you can see the email, you can see the type of user. Basically, you can inspect the database with this client. And you can actually edit it. If I right click and then just go edit document, I could actually edit the information that the document has here, and if I would press save, it would actually save and change, update the document in the database, and then my application would actually reflect these changes because it is obviously reading from the local database. So just to recap, this client is really helpful when you're working with an application that uses MongoDB, and the team really recommends it. So I would really encourage you to go ahead and download it, install it, and play a little bit with it so you can understand more how it works. Alright, so that was raw Mongo. Now the second optional service or tool that you can use for maintaining and developing the BOLO 8.0 app is Heroku. So if we go back here to the presentation and we go to Heroku, so what is Heroku? Basically Heroku is a PaaS, it's a platform as a service, and you can use it for deployment. So the way that we used it for this semester is that the Pinecrest Police Department, the product owner Jason, wanted to actually be able to access the app and see the changes real time as we push them. So in order to do that more easily, we use Heroku. If we didn't use Heroku, we would have either have the option to meet every time that we change something, or he would have to wait for the weekly meetings in order to see the changes, or we would have to actually go to their station and either show them or install the app every time that we change something, and that was not ideal. So what we chose to do is use Heroku for deployment, and they would actually be able to access the app by using a link that we provided for them. So that's basically what Heroku is for. So how to set up and start using Heroku? Well, this is actually a little more complicated if you've never used a platform as a service, or if you haven't used or worked in a Node.js app before, but it's not that hard either. So what I would recommend you to do if you wanted to use this optional service, just go to heroku.com. Right now I'm going to be on my dashboard because I'm already logged in, and let me just go ahead and log out. And you know what, in order to make it easier for you, I would just search for Heroku getting started. So here you go, Heroku Dev Center getting started on Heroku. And here you can choose which app you're developing. You're using a Node.js app, so you'll go ahead and choose Node.js. And you're gonna have all of these steps right here. You're gonna have an intro, you have the setup, you have how to prepare the app, how to deploy the app, everything is here. So these are the instructions that we followed in order to set up Heroku, and we were actually pretty happy with it. We are able to allow our product owners to see our changes in real time as soon as we push them to Heroku, and they would be able to give us instant feedback in the changes that we had made. So again, as also with raw Mongo, I also encourage you to use Heroku for deployment, and I also encourage you to go ahead and look at these guides and get well versed with it, so you can actually go ahead and use it in your app. And again, this was the installation and maintenance for Bolo 8.0, and I hope that after watching this video you have an idea of how to set up and run the app for the first time. Thank you very much, and good luck with your project.